Ever wonder if your healthy bowl of oatmeal is actually working against you? Many of us trust this breakfast staple, but for those over 60, the wrong toppings can lead to heart strain or sudden energy crashes. I'm Dr. Arthur, and after 30 years in geriatric medicine, I've seen how small habits impact long-term wellness. Today, we're uncovering 7 common additions that are secretly taxing your body. Stick around for easy, delicious swaps to keep you energized and thriving. Let's protect your precious health together. Item number 1. Brown sugar, the sweet deceiver. The first mistake I see so many of my patients make is reaching for that bag of brown sugar. It looks so rustic and wholesome, doesn't it? Many people in their 60s and 70s sprinkle a generous spoonful over their oats, thinking it is a healthier, more natural choice than white table sugar. But I am here to tell you that your body sees right through that golden color. When you stir brown sugar into your oatmeal, you are delivering a concentrated dose of simple carbohydrates that your system turns into glucose almost instantly. This causes your blood sugar to spike. In response, your pancreas has to work overtime to pump out insulin. Now, here is the core reason why this is so dangerous for us as we age. When we were 20, our bodies could handle that sugar rush with ease, but after 60, the pancreas slows down. Our cells become less responsive, a condition we often call insulin resistance. Your body simply cannot process that sugar like it used to. You might recognize the symptoms of this struggle without even realizing it. Do you ever feel a burst of energy for 20 minutes, only to be followed by a heavy, foggy feeling in your head? Maybe your knees start to ache more, or you feel irritable and hungry again by 10 in the morning. That is the classic sugar crash. Scientific research from institutions like the Harvard Medical School shows that these repeated spikes do more than just make you tired. They contribute to chronic inflammation, which is the root cause of heart disease and those stiff, painful joints we all want to avoid. Take the story of Martha, a sweet grandmother from Ohio who has been a patient of mine for years. Martha prided herself on her healthy lifestyle, but she could not understand why she felt so drained by lunchtime. She thought she was doing the right thing with her brown sugar and oatmeal. When we looked at her habits, I asked her to try a simple experiment. I told her, "Martha, please stop the sugar for just 1 week." Instead, I had her use a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and a few thin slices of a crisp apple. Within just a few days, Martha called me. She sounded like a different person. She told me her brain fog had lifted and she finally had the energy to walk her dog around the block without needing a nap afterward. It was a simple fix, but it changed her entire morning. So, I want you to take action today. Please, stop adding the sugar. Reach into your pantry and grab the cinnamon instead. Warm spices can trick your taste buds into enjoying a rich flavor without the metabolic cost. If you love that cozy, warm scent of cinnamon in your kitchen, please comment cinnamon in the section below. Item number 2, artificial sweeteners. The toxic trick. Next, we need to talk about those little colorful packets. Whether they are blue, pink, or yellow, artificial sweeteners are often marketed as a guilt-free way to enjoy your morning meal. If you are watching your weight or managing your blood sugar, these can seem like a miracle. But the truth is much more complicated, and for those of us over 60, these lab-made substitutes can be a silent burden on our health. The problem starts with how these chemicals confuse your brain. When you taste that intense sweetness, your body prepares for a hit of energy. But when the calories never arrive, it creates a metabolic mismatch. This confusion can actually trigger more hunger and lead to weight gain around the middle. More importantly, we have to think about your liver. Think of your liver as the grand filter of your body. As we get older, that filter has already spent decades working hard. It is often already busy processing blood pressure medications or other prescriptions. When you add artificial sweeteners like sucralose or aspartame, you are giving your liver a whole new set of chemicals to break down. It is extra work for no nutritional reward. This can lead to a sluggish feeling and even contribute to issues like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is becoming very common in our age group. I remember a gentleman named Arthur, a retired engineer who was very precise about his diet. Arthur used sugar-free syrups and yellow packets in his oatmeal every single day. He thought he was being smart. However, his routine blood work started showing elevated liver enzymes. He was confused because he did not drink alcohol, and he watched his fat intake. I suggested he toss those packets in the trash. We replaced his artificial sweeteners with a handful of fresh, tart berries. Berries are a wonderful gift from nature. They provide a tiny bit of real sweetness along with fiber and antioxidants that actually help your liver instead of hurting it. After 2 months of eating real, whole food toppings, Arthur's lab results returned to normal. He told me he felt less bloated and his digestion had never been better. He realized that his body did not want chemicals. It wanted real nourishment. If you are ready to give your liver a break, I want you to commit right now. Choose real fruit. Choose the berries. Choose to be kind to your hard-working body. If you believe in the power of real, natural food, please comment the word natural below to let me know you are with me. Item number 3, dried fruits. Nature's hidden sugar punch. Many of you tell me, Dr. Arthur, I only use raisins or dried cranberries because they come from real fruit. That sounds like a very healthy choice on the surface, but here's the problem. When fruit is dried, all of the water is stripped away. This leaves behind a tiny, shriveled bomb of concentrated sugar. Just a small handful of raisins or dried cranberries can contain 20 or 30 grams of sugar. To put that in perspective, that is about the same amount of sugar you would find in a typical $1 candy bar. Why is this so harmful for us now that we are older? It comes down to your liver. Dried fruit is loaded with a type of sugar called fructose. Your liver is the only organ in your body that can process this. When you were younger, your body could handle a lot more. But for someone over 60, the liver often works a bit slower. When you dump a massive load of fructose into your system every morning, your liver simply cannot keep up. It starts turning that excess sugar into triglycerides. These are fats that float in your blood. Over time, this leads to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It also causes your blood pressure to creep up and puts a heavy burden on your heart. You might recognize the symptoms of this struggle in your own body. Do you ever feel unaffordably bloated or heavy right after your healthy breakfast? Maybe you notice your blood pressure readings are higher than they should be, even though you are careful with salt. That is often your liver struggling to process all that concentrated sugar. Scientific research has shown that high fructose intake is a major driver of visceral fat. That is the dangerous fat that wraps around your internal organs and causes long-term inflammation. Take the story of Harold, for example. Harold is a 69-year-old retiree who loves his dried apricots. He thought he was doing something great for his digestion, but he was constantly dealing with a tight, bloated belly and rising blood pressure readings. I suggested he make a very simple swap. We traded those dried apricots for a handful of fresh, juicy blueberries and a few slices of fresh apple. Within just 2 weeks, Harold told me he felt much lighter. His bloating vanished. His blood pressure even started to trend downward. He was amazed that such a small change could make such a big difference in how he felt every day. So, I am asking you to take action today. Please, stop treating dried fruit as a main ingredient. If you absolutely love them, use only a tiny sprinkle as a garnish. But the best path forward is to choose fresh fruit. Fresh fruit contains water and natural fiber. This slows down the sugar absorption and protects your liver. Fresh is always better than dried. Item number 4, Flavored oat packets, the convenience trap. I know how it is. Sometimes you just want something quick and easy. Those little packets of maple brown sugar or apple cinnamon oatmeal seem like a godsend. They are fast, they taste great, and the box usually says "heart healthy" in big, bold letters. But as your doctor, I want you to look closer at the label. Those packets are often a recipe for high blood pressure and kidney strain. The scientific reason for this is quite simple. It is the salt. A single tiny packet of flavored oatmeal can contain 300 milligrams of sodium. If you eat 2 packets to feel full, you have already consumed a massive chunk of your daily salt limit before you even leave the house. High sodium intake causes your body to hold on to extra water. For an aging heart, this means there is much more fluid to pump through your veins. It puts a heavy, unnecessary strain on your entire cardiovascular system. Why does this matter so much after we pass the age of 60? It is all about your kidneys. As we age, our kidneys naturally become a bit less efficient at filtering out excess salt. When you eat these processed packets, the sodium stays in your system much longer. This leads to what we call edema or swelling. Do you ever wake up and find that your rings feel tight on your fingers? Or maybe your ankles look a bit puffy and tired by the end of the day? This is a very common sign that your kidneys are struggling to keep up with the hidden salt in your diet. Research from the American Heart Association confirms that reducing sodium is one of the most effective ways to lower blood pressure and protect your kidneys as you age. These packets are also full of artificial flavorings and chemical preservatives that add no value to your life. They only add more work for your internal organs to filter out. I once looked after a lady named Dorothy. She was 73 years old and she loved the convenience of those little packets. But she was plagued by puffy hands and blood pressure that just would not stay down despite her medications. I told her, "Dorothy, let's go back to basics." I had her switch to plain, old-fashioned rolled oats. I showed her how to add her own cinnamon and a tiny drop of real maple syrup at home. It only took her 3 extra minutes to prepare. Very soon, the swelling in her hands went down. Her rings fit her fingers again. She felt more in control of her health than she had in years. It is time to take charge of your breakfast. Stop buying the flavored packets. Toss them out of your pantry today. Instead, buy a big container of plain, old-fashioned oats. They are much cheaper, they are much cleaner, and they are significantly better for your heart. You can add your own flavors at home with real ingredients like nutmeg or vanilla. Your kidneys and your heart will thank you for it. Item number 5, non-dairy creamers, the hidden heart strain. Many of you reach for those non-dairy creamers because you want that rich, velvety texture in your oatmeal without the digestive trouble that comes from real milk. Maybe you are lactose intolerant, or perhaps you just think a powdered creamer is more convenient than keeping fresh milk in the fridge. But as your doctor, I have to tell you that these creamers are one of the most processed items in the grocery store. They are often little more than a cocktail of chemicals and unhealthy fats designed to mimic the taste of real cream. The scientific problem with these products lies in the ingredients list. If you look closely, you will often see words like hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. These are fancy names for trans fats. Even if the label says 0 grams of trans fat, the law allows companies to say that if there is less than 0.5 grams per serving. If you use a couple of tablespoons every single morning, those small amounts start to add up quickly. Trans fats are a nightmare for your cardiovascular system. They do 2 things at once. They raise your low-density lipoprotein, which is the bad cholesterol that clogs your arteries, and they simultaneously lower your high-density lipoprotein, which is the good cholesterol your body needs to protect your heart. Why is this so dangerous for us after the age of 60? As we get older, our arteries naturally become less flexible and a bit narrower. We do not have the same margin for error that we had in our 30s. When you consume these processed oils every day, you are essentially coating your internal pipes with a sticky substance that leads to plaque buildup. You might notice the symptoms of this as a general sense of fatigue or a feeling of heavy legs when you walk up the stairs. You might even notice that your fingers or ankles feel a bit puffy, which is a sign that your circulation is struggling. I remember a patient of mine named Howard. Howard was 75 years old and a very active gardener. He was frustrated because his cholesterol numbers kept climbing despite his best efforts to eat what he thought was a heart-healthy diet. He had switched to non-dairy creamer to avoid the fat in milk. I asked him to bring the bottle in, and we looked at the label together. I told him, "Howard, this powder is doing more harm to your heart than a splash of real cream ever would." We made a change. I told him to stop using the creamer immediately and switch to unsweetened almond milk or a dollop of plain Greek yogurt for that creamy texture. Howard was skeptical at first, but after just 2 months, his lab results showed a significant improvement in his cholesterol balance. He told me he felt like he had more spring in his step during his morning gardening. It was a powerful lesson that sometimes the things we use to avoid one problem actually create a much bigger one. So please, take action today. Stop using those chemical creamers. Go to your kitchen right now and check the labels for any mention of hydrogenated oils. If you find them, please toss that bottle in the trash. You can get that creamy fix from natural sources like unsweetened nut milks. They provide healthy fats that nourish your brain instead of clogging your heart. Item number 6, store-bought granola. The inflammation trap. Granola has such a wonderful, healthy image. We see pictures of mountains and sunshine on the packaging, and it feels like the ultimate wholesome topping for a bowl of oatmeal. You might think that adding a handful of crunchy granola is just doubling down on your health, but the truth is that most store-bought granolas are closer to a dessert than a breakfast food. They are often loaded with refined oils and hidden syrups to make them stay crunchy on the shelf for months. From a scientific perspective, the biggest issue is inflammation. Most commercial granolas are baked in highly refined oils like soybean or canola oil. These oils are very high in omega-6 fatty acids. While we need some of these, having too many of them creates a pro-inflammatory environment in your body. For those of us over 60, inflammation is the silent driver of almost every age-related struggle. It is the fire that fuels joint pain, muscle stiffness, and even cognitive decline. When you add granola to your oatmeal, you are often adding 5 or 6 different types of sugar, like barley malt, brown rice syrup, or cane juice, along with these inflammatory oils. The symptoms of this are very common. Do you find that your knees feel extra stiff in the morning when you first get out of bed? Do you notice a bit of extra weight around your waist that just will not go away? This is often the result of chronic low-grade inflammation caused by processed foods like granola. Research from the Journal of the American Medical Association suggests that a high intake of these refined carbohydrates and oils is directly linked to an increased risk of heart disease and joint degradation in older adults. I once worked with a lady named Margaret who was 71. Margaret loved the crunch of granola on her morning oats, but she complained constantly about aching knees and a general sense of stiffness that made her feel older than she really was. I suggested she try an experiment. I told her to stop buying the boxed granola and replace it with raw, chopped walnuts and a few pumpkin seeds. Walnuts are a fantastic alternative. They give you that satisfying crunch, but instead of inflammatory oils, they are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, which actually help to cool down the fires of inflammation. Margaret noticed a difference within 3 weeks. She told me her knees didn't feel as angry in the morning, and she found it much easier to get up from her favorite armchair. She was amazed that her breakfast topping was the thing making her joints feel so rusty. I want you to make a change for your joints today. Please stop reaching for the store-bought granola. It is too dense in calories and too high in the wrong kinds of fats. Instead, Go to the baking aisle and buy raw nuts or seeds. Walnuts, pecans, or sunflower seeds will give you all the texture you want without the hidden metabolic cost. If you can make your own granola at home with just a little olive oil and a touch of honey, that is fine, but the boxed versions have no place in a healthy senior diet. Let's choose the raw nuts and keep our joints moving smoothly for years to come. Item number 7, protein powders, a hidden strain on your kidneys. Lately, I have noticed more and more of my patients stirring a big scoop of protein powder into their morning oatmeal. They see the advertisements on television. They hear that they need more protein to save their muscles as they age. While the intention is good, many of these powders are a chemical cocktail that can be very taxing on your body. The scientific reality is that these powders are highly concentrated and filled with synthetic additives. I am talking about things like xanthan gum, artificial sweeteners, and preservatives. When you consume these, your kidneys have to work incredibly hard to filter out the waste products. This is the core issue for those of us over 60. Our kidneys naturally become a bit less efficient over time. When you force them to process an unnatural, concentrated load of protein every morning, you are placing an unnecessary burden on an organ that deserves a rest. In my practice, I have seen patients complain of unexplained fatigue, a loss of appetite, or persistent swelling in their ankles. They don't realize these are often signs of kidney stress. Clinical research has confirmed that excessive intake of processed, concentrated protein in seniors can actually speed up the decline of kidney filtration rates. I remember Robert, a 78-year-old retiree who is a dear patient of mine. He was adding protein powder to his oats every single day to stay strong. But during a routine checkup, his lab work showed his kidney markers were trending in the wrong direction. I told him, "Robert, please stop using the tub of powder. It is simply overcomplicating things for your body." We switched him to real food. I had him eat one boiled egg on the side or stir in some plain Greek yogurt for that extra protein. Real food provides nourishment in a way your body recognizes and knows how to use. Within a few months, Robert's kidney markers stabilized, and he felt much more energized. So, my friend, I am asking you to take action today. Please, stop using the powders. Toss them out of your pantry. Choose real, simple food instead. A boiled egg or a scoop of Greek yogurt is a much safer, more natural way to stay strong. Your kidneys will thank you for the simplicity. Thank you for spending time with me today. Remember, your body has carried you for decades. It deserves fuel that nourishes, not strains. Whether you swap sugar for cinnamon or ditch those flavored packets as Dorothy did, every small step counts toward a vibrant future. I want to hear from you. What's one change you promise to make tomorrow? Comment below to let me know. If this helped you, please like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. Stay healthy and see you soon. Goodbye.